Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jero. I'm the national contact point inside Lux Innovation Oriented for the digital and security work programs. Welcome to this webinar on artificial intelligence. Before going any further, I would like to make sure that you can all hear me very well and that I do not have connectivity issues from my side. Can I ask you to go in the chat section that should appear on the right side of your screen and just type some hello or some nice messaging, something. I see the first one coming. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for confirming that you can hear me. So back to welcome. Welcome to our webinar series to the specific sessions on artificial intelligence. As you can expect, it's kind of a transversal topic. Therefore, we're going to have to see a lot of things. And it's not out of context that I put this webinar specifically at 4 o'clock on the afternoon. It's because actually I would like you to sit comfortably, get a coffee, a bit of water, and relax a little bit because we're going to see in a lot of topics, we're going to see a lot of initiatives, and I want you to be more at ease. It's more, we plan this webinar to be 1 hour long, but it's most likely that we're going to go over it. I apologize sincerely for that, for my lack of time management skills. But when you will see the different topics, I'm sure you're going to understand why. So allow me to thank you, Christophe. So allow me just to remind some kind of etiquette for this webinar. Unfortunately, you will not be able to interact with me by voice or video. I will be the only one being able to do that. So for any interactions or discussions, you have the chat sections on the right side of your screen, if I'm not mistaken. So that should be here. No, what is what on your right? You have a tab which is for the chatting, so you can come here and say hello, present yourself, say from where you come from. You also have a question box, and I'd like to ask you for any questions to come to ask them here, because it works like Slido, if you are familiar with it. So you type your questions, other people can see it, me too, but other people can like your questions. So at the end, it's also a good tool for us to see which are the questions that with more interest, and I can focus on that. Also, because I know you're going to ask the questions, the replay will be available immediately after this the end of this meeting. So as soon as it closes, the tools will Livestorm will allow you to see the replay. You will receive an email with a link, so nothing is lost. Do not worry. First, a slide about our services as national contact points. So most of you have already know who we are, but in case it's not the case, you have in this slide in a different bubble. So the different services that Lux Innovation is offering for the participation to European fundings. That includes for a screening from project to ID, toward identifying what is the best solution for you or the best topic for you. But also it covers a bunch of services for writing the proposal until, of course, you have also the project. One general disclaimer that I'm forced to say here is that at the moment, everything is still a draft. Everything I'm going to present to you today is still under negotiation with the European Commission. Therefore, everything can change. And when I said everything, it's really everything. It can be just the name of the title of the topic. It can be the code of the topic. It can be the text inside the topic. It can be the budget allocated, the size of a project, or it can even be the topic itself, in the sense that we still have some topics that are deleted or changed or completely created. So whatever I'm telling you is today is information as we have them today. But please remember that they're going to be the validations or the adoptions of the final draft around end of March, beginning of April. So until then, everything can still change. Why are we doing that then, you might ask? Well, it's because that despite the fact that there are still some change possible, we have a convergence of the draft at the moment. The early draft were a few months ago. Now the changes are smaller. However, the most important reason is that we saw the community at EU level getting already ready for the first calls. And we have seen some consortium or key stakeholders saying that the consortium are already working on writing the proposals. Some of them are already saying that the consortium are closed. Luckily, not really for the topics we're going to talk about, but nevertheless, because some of those projects or topics require an effort of building over a long period of time, the key stakeholders in European level, the one that are making a strong lobbyist effort toward the European Commission, have already started working on that, and we want to plug you with them. So we decided to start this webinar series because we think it's important for you to at least know what's going on, and according to your interest, plug you with the right communities at EU level. I'll come back to that later on. So allow me to restart by saying the three main advice. We discuss it when we start the entire process of mobilization of the Luxembourg ecosystem since December. We had the training, we had the webinar on the beginning of December for kickoff, in order to kick off Horizon Europe in Luxembourg. We had beginner sessions and we had advanced sessions, and there are three advice we gave during the advanced sessions. And the first one is the one that you are reading here. Start early. And I'm not kidding with this advice. Start early. You will see that in some topics, the effort needed for building a proposals or the work to build a proposal is spread over sometimes more than a year before the deadlines, which means that for some of them, the work is now. So do not wait the last 3 months before starting to mobilize on it. Already start as soon as possible. The second advice is network. That might sound like a trivial advice. You might think that you have your own network and it's not going to be a problem to find the good partners. Sure, I'm not going to question that. However, having your own network is not enough anymore. It's having the good partner that is critical today. And we need you to network, what we call it, network good. We see that there are key stakeholders in Europe that will be actually the backbone of the future projects. We need you to get in touch with them. We need to plug you with them because we know those are the ones that are going to increase your chance of success. So networking today is even more critical. And of course, it requires a lot of resources, especially nowadays where the info sessions, the brokerage event is no longer on face-to-face. The third and last advice that we give you, and I want to make a reminder here, is broaden your horizon. If you have already participated to a webinar before, you have seen that actually that the Commission has built a structural approach for the Horizon Europe activities. However, this structure is only good from the Commission standpoint. If you are on the other standpoint, meaning if you want to participate, if you want to push a specific technologies or services or your own expertise, then the opportunities for you is far more diverse and far more spread all over the structure of Horizon Europe, and sometimes even beyond Horizon Europe to different programs. So that means that before you might be used to work only in the digital topics, in the ICT work program, for example, but maybe what you want to do today, it is not going to be inside the digital work programs. It might be somewhere else. And this is where we need to help you to broaden your horizon, because maybe the best opportunities do no longer lies to the place where you used to be. And those places, again, might be even outside Horizon Europe. So we hope that with those series of webinars, we can help you to target and focus on the right topics. But keep your mind open to the fact that you might need to follow another webinar. And here, an individual and customized support from us is necessary. As a kind of reminder, also from what we saw, I present here the structure and the coherent approach as it is from the European Commission standpoint. So that means that the Commission, when the Commission looks at the work programs, they see it like that. They see starting from the top, from the policies, the different lasagna of structure going to strategic objectives, destinations, sections, to reach the topic done. At the moment, just if you look at the cluster 4, and I underline at the moment, it's a 442 pages long document for 189 topics. That's a lot. That's a lot. And again, when you think in terms of synergies, that might need that actually you need to plug not maybe inside the cluster 4 activity, but somewhere else. So keep in mind that there is a coherent approach, but this coherence is not at your benefit. We are here to drive you to follow the right electrical wire toward the right topics. Just as a kind reminder also of the cluster 4, you have here the 6 destinations that are structuring the cluster 4. And I have circled in red the one that are actually artificial intelligence is strongly represented. So you see that over the 6, it's in 5, mainly focusing in the destination 4 and 6. So destination 4 is digital and emerging technologies. Destination 6 is human-centered and ethical development of digital and industrial technologies. You also have all the 3 other destinations that you see at your screens where there are some AI topics, but maybe less strongly embedded. So in the presentation, I'm going to go over those different destinations. I'm going to start with destination 4 and 6, and then after go with the 3 others. I'm not going to use a specific orders in terms of structure of the work programs. I'm going to use another more, where are the most relevant opportunities for artificial intelligence toward less. Finally, a name on the calendar. So there are 4 deadlines in 2021 regarding to the cluster 4 activity, which represent 108 topics over the 189 topics. So you have them spread right now. There are between the 15th of July and the 29th of September, which means that that leaves for the 15th of July, that leaves 5 months from today to build the proposals. I must underline again that the key stakeholders in Europe have already started working on it. Even if it's still a draft. Even if it's not yet confirmed that maybe the topics they work on is going to be canceled, they have started working. So the main activity, the main purpose of this webinar is at least you're going to see the topic today with me, and at least you might be able in the second step to plug with the right people. I want to make a deal with you and I. As I said, there is 189 topics just in cluster 4. It's around 600 topics for the entire Horizon Europe. And I think I'm conservative when I say 600. So we, in Lux Innovation, we have decided to build an entire communication campaign. So I do not want to repeat today in this webinar things that was already said or discussed previously. So we had this launch event in beginning of December, which was followed by beginner session and advanced sessions. These were discussed about the policies, about the different change in the structure of Horizon Europe, about the coherence approach. I do not want to repeat this today because we already have them, and you have access to the replay on our website. For those of you who are interested, when you will receive those slides, the link toward those replays will be inside the presentation, so you can just click. At the same time, the webinar series, we create domains and topics. You saw the planning of the webinars. I do not want to address here again topics that I have already addressed in other domains. And vice versa, the topics that I'm going to spend time to describe today are topics that I haven't described in the previous one. So the 2 main other webinars that I would like to mention is the one that we had last week on database economy, and the one that we have on Tuesday about digital transformation. So if you are interested in other topics where AI might be part, but is not the core activities of the project, I can only strongly invite you to go there, and of course also to get in touch with me. The other deal that I want to make with you is the fact that because online webinar can be exhausting, I'm not going to go over the 101 topics. I have made the selections, the one in relation with artificial intelligence, no surprise there, but I'm only going to discuss about the one for 2021. I'm only going to focus on the cluster 4 activity. I'm going to give you a sneak peeks to other clusters, but not too much. And I'm not going to mention the coordination and support actions. There might be some exception here or there when I thought that might be relevant for you as a community, but I decided that it might not be the most interesting topics for you, as you're looking for the list of register, you are more research and innovation organizations, meaning that you want to do more technical activities instead of coordinations activities. That's the deal I make with you. To make this webinar useful for you, or to make this communication campaign useful for you, I'm going to need your help on the second stage, and that's where you step in. I will need you to come back to me, and that's going to be that way around, with the topics for which you want to have more information. I'm going to need you to go and read the topic first to make sure that you have understood it correctly, or at least from what we have discussed today, it fits what you are still interested in. But I'm going to need you to come back to me and say, this is our priority 1, 2, or 3, because that fits our innovation roadmap. And after that, we can decide of specific support from me and my colleagues to start the proposal machinery. So I'm not going to go over this today. I'm going to focus on presenting to you the topics in relation to artificial intelligence. It's going to be long. It might be boring for some of you, but I hope I can keep your interest. Before starting, I've got a couple of more information that I'd like to share. From what we have read and understood from the topic at the moment, I'd like to give you some take-ups. And the first one is about the fact that when you read the topics are actually, from a technological standpoint, very wide. That means that in some topics, they don't say that they want to develop IoT, or they want to develop hard drive technologies or software technologies or machine learning technologies. They do not specify it. They specify the impact they want to reach. So the impact, as I've been writing here, is the driving force. But the road to reach this impact is up to you. And I've tried to give an example or an illustrations about how this is working. Imagine that you are on a road and you're arriving to this lovely city that you see in front of you. And let's say that at the moment, for crossing these cities with a car that you have, it takes 8 hours. Just follow my lead here. It takes 8 hours to cross the city. What the commission will tell you, the commission will say in the topic, I want to reduce the time to cross the city from 8 hours to 1 hour. That's what the commissions want to reach. That's the impact the commission wants to reach. But it will not tell you how. And the how is up to you. And here you have a lot of options. You can have a faster car. You can build a tunnel. You can build a bridge. You can even set a catapult that's going to throw your car over the city. You can imagine a zeppelin coming and pick up your car and driving it on the other side of the city. It doesn't matter. There is no technological restriction set by the commission. The only thing that the commission wants is that what you're going to do is going to reduce from 8 to 1 hour. And after, how it's going to be selected is according to see the credibility of what you want to do and how you can convince the proposers. So I want you to keep these pictures in mind. I want you to remember catapult. Like this, I write these pictures in your head by saying that. Catapult. Remember catapult. The way is not important. The impact is the most. Also, some other take-up for everything which is about space. I'm going to ask you to contact my colleagues, which Charles Koeners from the Luxembourg Space Agency, because according to the agreement we have between us in terms of distribution of roles and also responsibilities, Lux Innovation is not responsible for the space applications or the space topic. So there will be a part of the an entire destinations inside the cluster 4, which is about space. I'm not going to mention them today. There's going to be a webinar about space later on, and I invite you to go back to the or event page for that. Then, for each topic we're going to see in a minute, we're going to start to see in a minute, there are going to be two ways for me to address them. Or I consider that this is a core topic and I want you to know in more detail what it is, and I'm going to spend 1 or 2 minutes presenting this topic. Or it's going to be a second core topic or a related topic, which I judge myself not being relevant for the community, not me, mainly relevant, I should say, for you. And then I'm just going to list it. The idea is that after this webinar, when you will receive the slide, you can see this list. You have this mapping available for you. I have brings your attention to the one I think are most relevant, but you will be able to, if you are interested by the titles or by the short explanation that I give, you're going to be able after to find it directly. You're going to have a mapping of the AI topic there. I hope that's going to be enough for you, but concretely, that represents 12 topics that I'm going to spend 1 or 2 minutes on, and 28 topics that I'm going to list in them. And again, what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to scratch the surface. I'm not going to go deep in the topic. I'm going to need your help from you to go deeper in this topic. I'm going to need your help for you. I need you to read the topics that you think are relevant for you. I'm going to need that the second step of evaluation, it's you who made it, because you're the one who knows your research field. You're the one who knows your innovation strategies. You're the one who knows what are your priorities. That's not something that I don't know. So that's going to be the journey of today, 12 topics plus 28. This was kind of a long introduction, I know, but I wanted to set the rules clearly at the start. So get ready. Get now a glass of water or two. I'm going to have two. And I'm also, if you want a coffee, get ready for that. I'm going to ask you before we kickstart to ask you to go to the chat box and let me know if you're still there, if you're still okay with what I'm proposing, and if you are eager to learn about the AI topics. So go on the chat box, please, write something. And I'm going to ask a funny question. Do you have, like in the picture, do you have a cat at home that sometimes come and bother you for when you are in a webinar? Thank you, Vlodek. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Any cat lover among the people who are listening to me? All right. Okay, so that was again to take a small break. Now let's dive. And I'm going to start with destination 4. So the destination 4, as you see, it's what is called digital and emerging technologies. Just for you to know, there is a part about graphene, quantum, and these kind of things, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about AI. So the first topic I want you to be aware of is the one that is currently appearing on the screen, AI, data, and robotics for the Green Deal. You have to know that the Commission has merged the three, I'm going to call them technologies together, AI, data, and robotics. It has merged them together. So that means that when you going to see the three, the Commission does not mainly specify which technology it wants to be used for reaching the impact, but that can be any of it, AI included. So what the Commission wants to reach in this topic and wants to develop solutions for diminishing waste productions. So basically here you need to think in terms of industrial process, and what can be used as a technology, what technological solution, what AI application can be used for optimization and minimization of waste. Sorry. There is a list of sector which is provided by the topic. It's quite broad and it's not restrictive, so that can be any. But I invite you to go back to the topic. I'm opening a bracket to bring your attention about something that you're going to see in the screen for all the topic on the right side of your screen here. It's actually in detailed administrative information regarding the topics. First, you have the deadline. You have the budget allocated, the envelope allocated to the topic, the instrument, which actually define what is the funding rate, and you have what the commission is expected as size of the project. So for this topic, the commission has an envelope of 26 million. That's going to be funded at 70%, and it expects project between 3 and 5 million euro. So that gives you an indications, and you're going to see that for all the topics. I close the bracket and I go back to the topics. What the commission wants to have for this topic, data-based optimization. So whatever process you have which produce waste, the commission wants to have a database solution. Sorry, I should say want to have the use of data which is produced for optimizing this process. The commission is not targeting a technology specifically. It talks about different one and integrations. So here you can come with machine learning, you can come with quantum computing, HPC, data optimization models. There is no restrictions. You just need to have integrations of those different technologies. And of course, you must have end users and test bed for validating what you're going to do. So you must have industry involved as in your consortium. You can be this industry, you can be the one providing the AI technologies. My advice for this topic, that it's not exactly brand new. Also, the Green Deal aspect is new in this topic. So I would encourage you to get in touch with those three groups that you see at the screen: AI PPP, BDVA, and EU Robotics. You're going to see those three names appearing quite a lot in the presentation. So just to say it very quickly, those are the associations at EU level which are in charge of gathering the people working on those technologies and interest in the European calls of H2020 or Horizon Europe. So if you want to find the best place for networking, it's there. It's really in the three initiatives that are in the process of merging. More information if you contact me. I go to the next topic, which is AI data robotics at works. And here you have probably seen appearing on the right screen the little cascading waterfall. This for me is a way to inform you that this topic is actually using what we call cascading grant, meaning that a part of the activity of the project is not just to develop and push the technologies for reaching the impact, but there is also an outreach impact that is wanted, meaning the commission wants you to launch an open calls for SMEs or startups or small end users to receive a little bit of money to come and use the solution that you have developed in it. So you must be aware that when you see this little waterfall on the top right of your screen, there is a specific aspect of activities in the topic that you need to address. The topic here, it's a very simple one in terms of comprehension. You need to demonstrate AI technologies in a working environment. So you need to show how AI solutions can support the daily task of the worker, any kind of worker. It does not specify the industry, but how the AI can actually support them and make their life better, of course. So the commission has separated in actually 4 different situations. You've got 2 use cases. Or you can have embedded AI, meaning it's AI which is inside a robot, and the commission is very wide in terms of robot. Here, robot is really a physical robot. It's not a bot like you can have a chat bot like you can have on a website, a software robot. It's really a hard where robots. So, or you can have embedded AI, or you can have a non-embedded AI. Just see this time where just see you're gonna can have chatbot or solutions for white collars or working in administrations. So you can decide. You must decide which use case you want to work on. And then after there is two type of projects. So that's the second layer. Or you decide to focus on an industry, manufacturing, health, environment, whatever. Or you can decide to be transversal and then apply what we call the FSTP. FSTP, it stands for funding support for third parties. It's the waterfall that you see appearing on the top right of your screen. So you have to decide between the two use cases and the two types of project, and then after you need to develop your project. What is important here is that the commissions doesn't want any of the project that's going to be funded to be some sort of free electron inside the ecosystem. The commission want to structure the ecosystem around AI in Europe. So that means that the work that you're going to do and perform in this project must be made in collaboration with all the other projects. So that means that you should not just look at what you're doing, you should broaden your horizon again. My advice for that, again, for this topic, again, get in touch with AIPPP, BDVA, and EU Robotics. I pass to the next slide, to the next topic, and this one is this time pushing the limits of robotic cognitions. This is really a mix between cognitions and autonomous aspect of these cognitions. So here is where the AI lie, and robots. So here what the commission wants to have is to push the new generation of AI powered robotics. So it gives two examples, or it gives two subtopics, I should say, or smarter robot with improved and more complex capabilities. So basically the capacity to move Rubik's cubes and to solve it, for example, or to develop trustworthy human-robot collaborations. And here, I'd like to insist, the Commission wants to is using the word collaboration, not interface. So it's not just how I would interact as a human with the robot, it's how the both of us can collaborate in a workflow or in a work environment. So the Commission is calling for technology and system to enhance the cognitive ability of the robot. And of course, here you need to have or a project focusing on high level of autonomy, so you increase the autonomy of the project, or focusing on the human-machine collaboration. You decide what kind of AI-powered robotics you work on. One condition that the commission set is that you need at least 3 industrial cases. So that means that the AI solution that you're going to develop, the cognitive solutions, the autonomy solutions, you must be transversal and interoperable, or even replicable, it's even best, replicable between the different industries that you choose. Here, it's very simple. You want to get successful in this project, you need to contact EU Robotics here. EU Robotics, it's the association in charge at European level of structuring the robotics ecosystem. They're going to be the leader in this topic. Another topic where they're going to be also leader, EU Robotics, is this one, where you're going to have a European network of excellence center in robotics. So here, the purpose of the project is to make a network of excellence of the different organizations at EU level would work on robotics and that can collaborate together. It's about community building. Actually, it's more community reinforcement because this community building already exists. The Commission wants to have a deployment of the robotic solutions in any kind of circumstance. It's kind of like a digital innovation hubs, but a distributed one according to the different partners of this network. And here you should have applications in different sectors, industrial sectors. My warning is that you should not start from scratch. Really, do not start from scratch. Get familiar with the project portfolio, with what is already going on. And get in touch with the EU Robotics then. Do not start from scratch this project. I go to the next topic, which is development of technologies and devices for biointelligent manufacturing. So here is a kind of a little bit specific where special topics where actually what the Commission wants is that they want to support the transformation of manufacturing using biointelligence or biological aspect, a biological AI. Well, actually, no, biological, nature-based solution, I should say. Biological solutions for biointelligent manufacturing. And here, the Commission is giving a list of what it means by biointelligent manufacturing or biological transformation. So it talks about first biomimicry, so try to copy what the nature is doing and to integrate them inside our manufacturing. But it can be also the integration of the biological principle inside a manufacturing line. It can even be a merging, some sort of cyborg-like approach toward a manufacturing line. So how a natural solution can be plugged in and connect and interact with an industrial technologies. Here, what the Commission is referring, which might be relevant for AI, is everything which is related to data processing, digital twins, and it even writes in the text that AI should be integrated for allowing the exchange between biological system and technical component. And of course, this topic is targeting manufacturing environments. So you need to have a complementarity in the consortium. My advice for that this topic is not exactly new for Horizon 2020. It's new in Cluster 4 because before it was in a really academic research level. So here there is a series of FET project, Future and Emerging Technologies project, which has work on that. So have a look at them to see who is working on what and who might be interested in working on this project. And then get in touch with EFRA. EFRA is a European Factories of the Future Research Associations, like BDVA or EU Robotics. Those are the people that are interested in the Factories of the Future topics inside the European fundings. So they are your main partners in crime for this topic. I make a small break. We are finished with destination 4. I'm going to go now to destination 6. So it's time for me to see if you're still alive and also for me to take a sip of water. So let me ask you questions. What do you see from your windows? Can some of you just write what to interact a little bit? What is there in your windows? And I'm going to say we have kind of reached a level for this question because on the previous webinar, one of you wrote that they were seeing a jacuzzi being installed. So you need to top that. What do you see from your windows? No jacuzzi this time? Oh, somebody can see the sea, which make me say that you might not be in Luxembourg. But it's okay. Oh, lucky you from Nice. Lucky you, Christophe. All right, let's move on. So now we're going to enter in the destination 6, which is a human-centered and ethical development of digital industrial technologies. So it's kind of merging everything that was for digital transformation with also the Green Deal. So the first topic that I want to introduce you is this one, which has actually quite a long name, but where I want you to focus on what is written here: trustworthy AI. So trustworthy AI is actually something that the Commission wants to develop, leadership in AI based on trust. We need to make sure that the citizen, the industry, the society trust the AI which is developed. And one of the things that the Commission wants to see developed in this topic is just the transparent, explainable, accountable, and trustworthy AI. And those are aspects that are incredibly important for the Commission, specifically the explainability and the accountability of AI. The Commission wants to push its low TRL topics, wants to push the next level of intelligence and autonomy, but embedded with the European values. So that means embedded with something that we can trust, with data privacy preserving solutions, with the capability of being audited and to be understood why the AI makes this decision compared to human AI, for example. There is 5 areas that you need to choose from if you want to push just the next level of intelligence and autonomy. You have them written here. I'm not going to read them loud. And the final point that I want to stress for you for this topic is that you need to have what is called SSH involved. And SSH stands for Social Science and Humanities. That means this topic is not only techniques. This topic is also about sociology, is about, that can be history, that can be psychology, that can be everything which is human science. So you must have a multidisciplinary aspect in this topic. My advice for this topic is get in touch with AI PPP. There are some examples of project that has been run like this, so looking at the portfolio might be interesting for you. Also, something that I should have wrote, but unfortunately I forgot, which is you should get in touch with NGI, the Next Generation Internet. They are the one which are very well involved in about SSH involvement. I continue to the next topic, which is European Network for AI Excellence Centers. And here you see that my little cascade waterfall is back. So here you must understand what the Commission wants to do actually with AI. And that's part of their policy. The Commission wants to build Lighthouse project. And Lighthouse project is actually a project which will be some sort of become a beacon in an application domain for the use of AI solutions. So the Commission is structuring the AI ecosystem at EU level. They have started already since 2016, so it's not brand new, and we cannot change that. There are a project which is currently running, which is supposed to be the backbone of AI technology in Europe, which is called AI for EU. It's a very large initiative, and this topic is actually a supporting topic for AI for EU. So you should see AI for you as some sort of a huge umbrella for every AI activities, research and innovation funded by the European Commission. And inside this AI for EU umbrella, you have Lighthouse project. Some have already been found last year or starting last year, sorry. They are application driven. So you see that as a verticals, but they can be transversal as well, meaning several verticals. And what the Commission wants is to fund a new network that's going to plug under the umbrella of AI for EU, but with the new applications. So here you have a list of activities that must be performed by the project, which is actually mandatory. So you must go read the topic if you are interested in this. This is a networking topic here for you. It can't be a free electron project. You must plug with the rest of the EU ecosystem. So my advice is look at the ICT 48 2020 project, meaning contact me for that. I can send you the link and get in touch with AI PPP. Get in touch with those people that have already started to work. Get in touch with AI for EU. For luckily, we have the fact that the University of Luxembourg is part of one of those Lighthouse projects. So we got the University of Luxembourg, which is part of one of those part of AI for EU ecosystem. So we can build from that. We can build from that. I move on. And then we have this topic, which is about tackling the bias of AI. And the bias here, the Commission is listing some, but it's mainly gender and race bias. As you know, the AI is only good as the quality of its data. And therefore, we have witnesses, we got a lot of examples, sometimes quite funny examples, where the AI has generated something that is completely biased, which is completely wrong, which is discriminating against categories of people. This cannot work in Europe. We don't want this kind of AI because it doesn't fit with our values. So the purpose of this topic is just to prevent and mitigate those biases in AI. It's about technology here again. You can go also from the conceptual approach, from the software, the hardware, the data quality or data check, but it should help for unbiased and bias preventing AI solution. It should evaluate the capacity of AI to address the bias, but also evaluate, the capacity of the AI to not be biased, and it should address and propose solution in case it is. The bias that the Commission wants you to focus on at the moment, or at least in terms it's written in the topic, gender, ethnic, and sexual orientation. So you can address other bias, of course, it's not limited to that, but that's the one the Commission wants. And the Commission what would like is to set standards for AI. So you have to keep in mind that part of your activity is not only develop the technologies, but make it sure that this technology become a standard for unbiased AI. You must validate, of course, this. So the list of example of biased AI is very long. So I can only invite you to address the one that you are interested in, select end users that is related to this interest of yours, and then try to address the fact that it's make your AI solution unbiased. Again, for here, my advice is to get in relation with AI PPP. I go to the other topic, which for me is particularly interesting, which is the AI to fight disinformation. So some of you might know that I also have the cap for security domains. And it is my personal belief that the biggest threat that our Western society are facing today, they are not the natural disaster, or they are not terrorist attack or whatever. For me, the biggest threat is disinformations. It is, from my opinion, the one thing that can deeply affect the roots of our societies. And we have already seen that. It's disinformation that led to Brexit. It's disinformation that leads to some elections or to some misbehavior that we've seen. So this disinformation has reached a level where it becomes the biggest threat for Western society, in my opinion. Here, the purpose of this topic is to address this threat and to advance AI solutions for fighting the disinformation techniques. And here the Commission is calling actually for two types of areas. Or your project focus to support the professional practitioners, so mainly the media and the journalists, so to help them to identify fake news, to name them, but not only. Also to help the scientists who wants to develop a new solution. But there is also another area, if you want to address, that you can address, which is for citizens. So AI solution for fact checking and to help to accompany the citizens in the process of critical research. This topic should be big in collaboration with another cluster, the cluster 3, which is cluster 3 is actually the cluster in relation with security. So, and actually the topic that is addressed here is a fight against crime and terrorism. So you should always think about building this topic in relation with how your applications or your technology can be used also in the fight against crime and terrorism. And here, also, my advice is, if you want to work on this, is the best place to find a partner is to get in touch with AI PPP. I move forward in another topic, which is more multidisciplinary this time, which is art-driven use, experiment, and design. So here, AI is not mentioned in the title, but actually what the Commission wants is to conduct a series of experimentations which are art-driven, so the artist collaborating with the scientific and the techniques for helping the uptakes of the solutions. And here, the Commission is mentioning uptakes of technologies, but that technology can be AI justly. So you can have a project where you're going to collaborate with artists inside this R&D project, and you can have the final purpose will be that your AI solution will be uptake by the end users. The Commission is setting 4 sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, five applications domain that you can see at the in your applications. And if you are interested in this, well, my advice then is to look at a similar project which is currently running, which is called a START project, which is not focusing on AI, but which is focusing on the collaboration with artists. The next topic that I would like to mention is a topic which is about developing the workforce skills for industry. So as you know here, AI will change the workforce. We're going to need to upskill the workforce. And here this job is a little bit more for preparation of this upskilling in the coming years. So here the Commission wants to have an assessment of the nature of the transformation of the jobs, yours, but also the organization or the sector that's going to adopt the AI technology. The Commission wants to have guidance and recommendations, but for Industry 5.0, but it should be for any type of organization. It should be for startups, SMEs, large companies. So you should not focus only on a small player. Here again, you must include social science and humanities. And here again, my advice this time, sorry, not here again, but this time my advice would be that you should liaise this topic with another program, which is called the Digital European Program, DEP. And inside this program, you have a pillar which is related to digital skills, and you should liaise with what's going to come out of this program. If you want more information, I'm not going to dwell too much now. Contact me. Okay, that was the series of topics I wanted you to focus on. Now I'm going to quickly pass. I'm going to show you the list of topics where AI is mentioned, but which are, in my opinion, second rated. So the idea is that, of course, we don't spend too much time addressing them. You can read them as I pass through it. But once you receive the presentation and the slide, you can definitely take the time to go and read it. So there are topics for trust and data sovereignty on the internet, trustworthy open search and discovery. Those topics, for example, we addressed them already on our webinar of the 4th February, so you can go back and see how we spend some time describing them. There is some topic in the destination related in the section related to extended reality, so augmented reality, virtual reality. We've got the topics about the adoptions of the industry toward the technologies. So you can see them here. And here, I'm going to make a small break. I'm going to make a small break because we have seen the two main destinations where AI is involved. So I'm going to take my glass. I'm going to drink a little bit, but before doing that, I'm going to turn to you and I'm going to ask you to go on the chat sections and tell me how you are. How do you feel at the moment? Are you still with me or are you all dead? Okay, excellent. I'm happy to see that you're still connected there. We are started a little bit more than 50 minutes ago. I think we still have for something like 20, 25 minutes, I would say. I will try to not get too long. I do not see any questions raised in the chat sections. So two options here. Or I'm incredibly clear, and I'm going to take this as a yes. Or you do not have any question at the moment, and you prefer maybe to wait for reading the topics. So enlighten me, which one do you think it is? Thinking about the jacuzzi. Yes, you're right. Let me ask you while we're making this break. Are you more jacuzzi or are you more sauna? Write it in the section. Okay, I hope you had the time to refill your coffee or to refill your water. Let's move forward. And thank you for Christophe and Voltec for fighting and clashing via chat about preferences between jacuzzi and sauna. Thank you for your participation. Let's go to destination 3. Destination 3 is world-leading data and computing technologies. And despite the fact the title, actually, I do not have any topics here which I'm going to be flagged as AI. But I'm going to have topics where AI is mentioned as an application for those data and computing technologies. So keep in mind that in these destinations, AI is not the main focus, but it can be a strong application, and it's mentioned right and several times. So I'm going to just list the topics here. And you have topics related to data sharing. We're talking here in this destination about the data value chain. So you have those topics that we have already seen in our previous webinar. Technologies for data management, technology for compliance, data compliancy, etc. You have topics about supporting extreme data mining. That can include AI, of course. We've got also topics about how to bring the intelligence, the AI, toward the edge of the network. So here, IoT and cloud to edge is mentioned. And that's it for destination 3. So I hope you're not too much frustrated, but we have already seen this topic. So I can only invite you to go back to the webinar we had last week or 2 days ago. I want to shift now toward the destination 1, which is an industry-oriented destination, and which is about climate neutral, circular, and digitized productions. So the topic we're going to see here are quite oriented toward manufacturing and processes. The first one, which is the most obvious, is artificial intelligence for sustainable, agile manufacturing. So here the idea is really to develop and deploy AI technologies inside an industry. The Commission mentioned the sustainable aspect of those manufacturing and process industries, but basically it's really deployment of AI technologies. You can address the entire value chain of an industry for the design and the remanufacturing, I should say the value chain of the life cycle of the product, I should say. But you can focus on just one aspect of this life cycle. You can focus on the entire aspect of this life cycle. This is industry oriented, so you must propose at the end of the project business cases and strategies for everything which is interoperable and replicability of the solution you're going to develop. So you're going to develop and deploy AI solutions inside an industry. Fine. How do you do the same for less cost to another industry? So that's a business model you will have to convince the Commission about. Again, this is a topic that doesn't start from scratch. It's not. There already been a topic in 2019 about AI for manufacturing. It's called the ICT 07 2019. And here again we have the same usual suspect: BDVA, EFRE, and robotics. EU robotics. Apologies. So get in touch with them. The other topics in destination 1 are my second rated topics. You will notice that some of them we have already addressed them in our past webinar. You see them at the moment on the screen. So go back to see those webinars, or maybe it was there, I didn't mention it, but each time I have put the link toward the webinar, so you have access to the webinar, the replay of the webinar directly. When I have it, sometimes when it's specifically my colleagues, I might not have them. Here is a section about the constructions sector, where the Commission really wants to deploy AI and database technologies toward the construction sector. Then there is this hub of circularity, which is a new concept that the Commission wants to develop. I do not want to dwell too much on this because my colleague Stefano has extensively explained it during a webinar on the 2nd of February and also on the webinar on Tuesday. So I want to invite you to go back to that if you are interested. Just remember, this is a technology integration topics, meaning AI is just one of the aspect in this topic in a broad sense. And finally, there is also the use of AI in materials and circularity processes. The same thing for renewable electrifications in process industry. So how can the AI support the Green Deal aspect of the process industry? And that's it for destination one. Again, you can have a better view on the mapping when you will receive the slide. Do not worry about that. Or when you're going to go to see the replay. I want now to go to the destination 2, which is increase autonomy in key strategic value chain for resilient industry. And here I'm going to be fair with you. The majority of the topic are in 2022. So it might be that when you will receive the draft or when you will see the topic, you might say, hey, but I haven't seen that topic here. That was interesting for me. Yeah, but it's for 2022. So we have the topics that I'm going to mention now are maybe more relevant for you today. And for 2022, while it's a problem for our future. So I meet you again. So here you have the first topic that I want you to be aware of where AI application is encouraged, which is about material modeling. So if you are interested if you have an application for material modeling, your AI technology can be useful here. And that's it actually, because all the other topics have been addressed in one webinar or are not mentioning AI. Destination 5 is actually going to be very quickly addressed because, as I've been saying in my introductions, Destination 5, we are not in charge of this inside Lux Innovation. I must ask you to contact my colleague Charles Koeners, and we're going to have a webinar that's going to be jointly organized with the Luxembourg Space Agencies. At the moment, it's going to be beginning of April, but I don't know have specific dates. Stay tuned, register to our newsletter. And I want to spend a few minutes about the topics for AI, which are outside cluster 4. So some topics that might be more relevant for you, for health, culture, creativity, food, bioeconomy, something that are outside cluster 4. So I've been asking my colleagues to give me those topics, and you're gonna have the list when you're gonna receive the slide or when you're gonna watch the replay. The first one is in health and healthcare. So where you have those two first topics, one being about data-driven decision support for healthcare, the other being the use of artificial intelligence to support clinical validation. In cluster 6, which is about food bioeconomy and natural resources. I apologize, I had a loss of memory. You have those two first topics, which is about the digital transition for sustainable fisheries. You also have the use of AI for the water resource management. You have after AI, which is mentioned in how it can support the use of Earth observation data, specifically coming from the space sectors, actually, but to give access to this data. You also have a topic which is about setting up the tools to manipulate what will become the Green Deal data space. So the Commission will launch a series of 6 data spaces for thematic sectors. This is inside the Digital European program, if you want to know. I'll mention that in a minute. But the AI tools or the different tools for managing those data space or for manipulating the data inside it, well, it's going to be addressed in Horizon Europe. So you can have here, if you are interested in using your AI solutions for Green Deal data, this is going to be your place. Finally, I recognize and I acknowledge how difficult it might be to have a global pictures of Horizon Europe. Specifically, where is all the opportunities for AI? There are many others. We are in the process of making a mapping, and this mapping is actually going to follow the structure of the webinar we have decided to set. So the only difficulty that I have at the moment is that this mapping is only useful once we have the work programs settled down. Since they are still drafts, those work programs are changing, and this mapping doesn't make sense because it might evolve drastically. So stay tuned, because in the coming weeks, we're going to publish this mapping about the topics that are relevant according to the thematics of the webinars that we have mentioned, and combined with the draft that you're going to receive and combined with the replays that you're going to see, you're going to be able to cross-read the different opportunities for you. And this for the entire Horizon Europe first year. So I hope this mapping would be useful for you. If you do not see it, then get back in touch with me. That's going to be with great pleasure that we're going to drive and identify the right topic for you. Finally, regarding AI, I cannot stop here without mentioning that you're going to have an entire work programs on artificial intelligence, which is going to be inside the Digital European program. Like for space, Lux Innovation is not mandated for working on the Digital European program at the moment. Therefore, I cannot address it extensively here, but what I would like just you to be aware of is that there's going to be tremendous opportunity and ecosystem structuring for AI activities inside the Digital European program. So get in touch with the European Commission in that. You can get in touch with me, but my job will be to forward you toward the right people. Because it's going to be a tremendous opportunities with a lot of fundings also there, not anymore in the research and innovation, but in the deployment of AI solution technologies. And spoiler alert, AI for EU is going to be there. So the only thing that I can give you as a general advice is get in touch with AI for EU. There are other opportunities for the use of AI in other programs outside Horizon Europe. So I come back to my advice: broaden your horizon. Euro HPC, which is the program for the deployment of HPC technologies. K Digital Technologies, which is a program focusing on the value chain of microelectronic and embedded system. And of course, the Smart Network and Services program, which is actually focused on 5G and 6G deployment. For these three programs, unfortunately, we won't have the draft before mid-March. So I cannot address you what would be the opportunity at the moment yet. The same thing goes for connecting European facilities. Also, here it might be less relevant for you because the Connecting European Facilities is a program to help to connect the different infrastructures and communication infrastructures in Europe. So here, only if you have activities such as AI for mobility, for example, or AI for interoperability of the telecommunication infrastructures, this might not be relevant for you. So just be aware that this is existing. Finally, and that's going to be my last slide for concluding this webinar. We are starting a new program now. Horizon Europe just starting on the 1st of January. Well, actually, it hasn't exactly started yet because we still haven't got work program, but it's a new program. We know the evaluations and the templates from the Commission will be more or less similar to what was in Horizon 2020. However, we know there will be also some changes and maybe some cultural changes is in how the templates will look like, or what will be exactly asked from you when you write the template. So the best advice we can give you for a fast track learning is to become an expert, to participate to the evaluations of the European Commissions. It's possible, it's open, you just need to register as an expert, and the Commission is also paying you for becoming an evaluator and assisting the evaluations. This is the best way and the most educative way for knowing what you should write. Sorry, what you should write in your proposals in the future. So the only thing that the only big advice I can give you at the moment is don't hesitate to become an expert. It's a perfect learning experience. Voila, that concludes my webinar on AI. We have seen something like 12 topics plus 28 others, so something like 40 topics related to AI. It was a lot. It was. I hope you're still alive, and I'm gonna turn toward you to see if you have any questions regarding those topics. And also, if anyone can type that you are still alive and still listening to me, and I'm not just speaking in an empty void for since 1 hour and 10 minutes. So there is a question about Wojtek. When did the EC ask your expert advice for the first time? I assume your question is about becoming an expert for Horizon Europe. Well, it will ask you after when it will have to conduct evaluations. So this evaluation will not take place before the deadline of the first course, and to my knowledge, there is not a course plan before mid-July. So that means that if you become an expert, that will be for September at the earliest. However, if you want to become the registration, you can already done it, and registering as an expert does not stop you to participate to a proposal. The commission will just not nominate you as an expert in a topic where you have been submitting a proposal. That's it. Thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm going to give you 10-15 more seconds to see if there is any questions. Meanwhile, I just hope that you're all safe and sound, and I hope that you're going to be interested in this. Now the ball is in your side. I need your help. If you are interested by those topics, get back to me. And otherwise, well, I just wish you a very nice evening.